Welcome everybody to another episode of Babblin Podcast. There is me, Nathan, my boy Ben, my other boy Michael, and my other boy Ethan. We're all back.
Yo,
how are we all doing, boys? You good?
I love the energy, man. I love the
How
energy.
are you all doing? Yeah,
everyone gets good energy, man. I'm in a good mood today, so I'm feeling
totally
good about this.
Yeah, totally good.
Yeah.
Oh man,
we all good?
How are you all doing? Yeah, we're okay, thank you.
Nice.
yeah, not bad.
I'm speaking to yeah.
Okay. Well, I had a bit of a question that I want to ask you today. You might have seen recently that we got the Zack Snyder cut of Justice League, 2017's Justice League, that will be released at some point soon. What do you think about that film in general? And are you ready for the Snyder?
I still can't believe that. I don't understand that. So they're releasing the film again. That was released 3 years ago, or 2 years ago and a bit, whatever you want to say.
Yeah.
Just with a different director's cut. Oh,
so basically, Zack Snyder was making his original version, but because of a family tragedy, he had to pull out.
That was upsetting.
Yeah, which is a real shame. So Joss Whedon, is it Joss Whedon or Joss Whedon? Joss Whedon. He took over and made a different version that was completely different. Joss Whedon. And he made the new version, and everyone hated it. Me and Nathan saw it at cinemas. It sucked.
It was a cute double date, yeah.
It was a cute double date, but that was the only cute part about it. And so but yeah, the new one is coming out next year on HBO Max.
For anyone who doesn't know, just to fill people in, what was it Zack Snyder went through? Because he had to pull out, Joss Whedon came in.
I swear,
his daughter committed suicide.
Yeah.
So
Serious stuff.
So he had to pull through. He had to pull out just to obviously go tend to his family. So Joss Whedon, who is known for Buffy the Vampire Slayer TV series, and as well as Avengers and Age of Ultron and other Marvel films.
I don't know how old she was. A teenager.
I think she was 16.
Young, yeah.
I think she was 16.
Fuck, mate, that's awful. That is. What was the reason behind that then, or does no one know?
No one knows. But the point is that that happened, so he had to come away, step away.
Yeah, sorry, I'm going off on a tangent with it.
But then. So I think I noticed a problem with Justice League when you watch the final product that we did get was that because it's two different directors, it's two very different directions, which is really off-putting. You can notice it's Zack Snyder's like really sort of gritty, gothic DC look that he was sort of known for, similar to what Batman v Superman in 2016 had, and just what DC Comics kind of go off anyway. But then you sort of notice the more light-hearted, kind of more upbeat, bouncy, very
the Marvel humor.
Kind of, yeah, like
very much in there, yeah.
I mean,
it's similar, but it's more.
I can't remember the film that well, but like I just. It is really sort of typical of DC to do something like this rather than actually make a proper decent film, which they still, and I suppose they have done with Wonder Woman, I guess. I didn't mind Aquaman that much. But it really does just go to show the direction that DC's gone in. Going back to a film that's over 2 years old, doesn't matter what film it is, and just re-releasing it again, acting like it's a whole other thing, just because a different person's had a different bit of a twang to it. Or they're changing the villain from whatever that bloke was.
Steppenwolf.
To be honest, mate, he probably felt like he was cheating a bit. He thought, you know what, I actually wanted to make this film. It was my film. I had obviously bigger issues at that point. So, you know what, fuck it. 3 years later.
It wasn't really close to the end, though. Like, it wasn't that much that Josh
Whedon. Who knows?
No, Joss Whedon, fuck.
Fucking hell, man.
Still doing that.
Oh, boy.
He reshot loads of scenes. Like, apparently, those that he cut out. Because they basically, DC wanted a more Marvel feeling of a movie. Like, they wanted the jokes in there. They wanted that kind of like, they wanted audiences to feel like they're watching a Marvel movie rather than Zack Snyder's original execution, because Batman.
Isn't that just changing the writer, though? Not really the director. Isn't that just writing?
It depends.
Well, it's a
vision. It's a vision, really. Zack Snyder had this whole vision that was going to be similar to what Batman vs Superman kind of was.
Fucking hope not.
But like the villain of Justice League, for example, was Steppenwolf. But in Zack Snyder's version, I believe it was meant to be Darkseid, who obviously was in the little teaser that we've seen.
You know one thing about this film? Like
really
the last
strange.
one. I mean, that Steppenwolf, what was the point of him? Before Superman rocked up, he was having a good go. Superman came, just threw him around like a rag doll. Like,
yeah, but that's the point. That's why Steppenwolf came, because there wasn't Superman. Don't forget.
There wasn't a Superman to
because
protect him.
Superman was, you know, he had died from Doomsday, from the what they call Doomsday. But it's like, again, since he was gone, it was literally just, you know, you had some random Amazonian princess who pretty much was trying to fit into a society that, you know, didn't really work for her. You had Batman and Cyborg and Flash and that, but it's like, yeah, those are all really great, but that's a interdimensional villain, you know.
What did you think of them characters, like Cyborg and the Flash? You didn't really know much about this Cyborg guy before going into this.
I thought Cyborg was a bit boring. I thought the Flash was all right, but I don't know.
I know a little bit of stuff, but it's
Flash
like...
reminds me of Joji. I just think of Joji when I see.
You know what? A load of people have said with Ezra
Joji.
Miller.
Yeah, Ezra Miller, yeah.
It's just Joji knocking about.
Who's Joji?
You know who Joji is? Filthy Frank. Remember him?
Oh, Filthy Frank. Oh, yeah. He looks a lot. Yeah, that's
what a lot of people make. But those characters were, I don't know. They felt a little bit sort of 2D. Like they were just a bit flat when you see them, and it's kind of like, okay.
Aquaman was all right.
Aquaman was all right.
Like a fan representation.
Okay.
He'll go for it. He'll expend a bit of effort, but he really just doesn't like it.
It's just Jason. It's just Jason Momoa being himself, just making them stupid noises.
Yeah, he's just
Jason Momoa's a fucking G in real life.
Loving life.
Happiest guy ever.
Yeah,
right ain't over yet.
Yeah, Jason Momoa in that film is literally just a gold medal.
Probably why he got hired. Just a nice guy. That's like the role.
Oh, he seemed pretty sound, you did, mate.
He's a cool guy. But the thing is that this is the thing. Like Marvel established the characters before, so you had a bit more of an idea when the Avengers was set up, like who everyone was. Because obviously, the only reason everyone already pretty much watched the Avengers when it first came out was because of Iron Man. Like the general audience were like, "Oh, Iron Man's in that movie. I'll watch it." Like you have more of a reason to. Like obviously,
in fairness, in defense of DC films, though. They did start making them a bit later when obviously, and by the time DC films started picking up, you were already having, you know, Avengers was already on its second film.
But whose fault's that?
And but this is what I'm saying. Like they they ended up rushing the production to meet to that point because of course,
failed miserably.
Don't get why. Why rush?
If you come 2016,
because
by that time you've already got, you know, Iron Man and Captain America have already had 3 films. You had 2 Avengers films, you had Civil War coming out that year, and you've got other heroes as well. And whereas with DC, obviously they were sort of trying to do the catch up, but they did it in such a way where it was one standalone film, one small crossover film with Batman and Wonder Woman. Then it was the big ensemble film. Like, the rest of the team was teased here and there, but it's like, it's their own fault for rushing it, but I don't necessarily blame them for rushing it.
I mean,
they should have taken their time, but I don't actually. I wouldn't say I'm like furious with them for rushing it. I actually don't blame them for rushing it, but at the same time, if they had taken their time with it, things would have been so much smoother. I mean,
it doesn't take much thought to realise there's no need to try and catch up with Marvel. There is no catching up.
The thing with Marvel, though,
DC can stand on its own 2 feet.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
Marvel wouldn't be where it is if it wasn't for Jon Favreau, who started it all.
Yeah,
that bloke, mate.
And Robert Downey Jr.
Yeah, for both
and Kevin Feige.
It's annoying to see just kind of how many obstacles DC's getting now, because of course we've now got what's called a standalone sequel from 2016 Suicide Squad, where a standalone sequel, in case you're unaware, is basically a sequel where you don't necessarily need to watch the first film. You just watch that second film.
It's like a reboot, but not
Suicide Squad. It's a standalone sequel to Suicide Squad, so you don't need to watch the first one. But it's like a reboot, and it's not a reboot. Like you can just watch that. You can just watch this new film, and
it's like Bumblebee.
The first one. Yeah, exactly. Like
I just don't want to put in the effort, mate. I just don't want to put in the effort.
To be fair, though, the Suicide Squad is made by James Gunn, and that alone is a reason for me to watch it, because James Gunn, both Guardians
that
1
means
and
Will
2.
Smith's gone, though, innit? I quite liked him. I thought he was all right.
I'm not bothered. I thought
when I watched Suicide Squad, it was like it wasn't great, but for what it was worth, like a bit of action, it was all right.
That sort of film, the film was shit, but he was all right. He was
he's fun.
Yeah.
But who's fine?
It was messy.
Oh,
Will
right.
Smith was fine though. There was nothing.
It's a shame he's not coming back for the second film.
Yeah.
It's a shame he's not coming back.
But they've got a really good cast.
They've got most of everyone back, and they've got Idris Elba casted as well.
Is Dave Bautista in it?
Might be. I can't remember.
Yeah,
I think he was rumoured. They released a big photo of the cast members on Instagram. Margot Robbie, Jai Courtney have all returned.
John McKinnon and
Peter
Diana
Capaldi, the
Davis.
Doctor, is in it.
Yeah, I saw that name somewhere.
Oh no, actually no, it's fine.
There's a lot of people in it. Bloody John Cena's in it as well.
Yeah, John Cena's in it.
But then again, you can't really fault it. I mean, Dave Bautista, before seeing him like in Guardians, is perfect for the role. John Cena might be sound for this role.
Shall I get it up? Here, I'll get it up if I can. You guys keep the conversation going, but yeah, I've really confident I can read it out.
I think you can't. Nice. You can't really take too much away from DC though. Like, I think if you watch their animated films, they are very, very good with their animated films. One of my favorite animated films in general is The Dark Knight Returns, which is a story of the Batman who's gone into retirement for years. But then the Joker suddenly starts coming back out, realizing that he does actually have to keep fighting Batman because he's his obsession. So Batman's like, well, I need to come back out. And even though they're much older, and less able than they were, it's still crazy to see how they go against each other. It's a really good story.
I've never been that into Batman to probably go watch all these cartoon series.
It's not even just Batman, just Flashpoint is such a really good film as well, about the Flash, and that's going to be a live action film that'll come.
I was going to say they're talking about bringing Jeffrey D. Morgan back as the future Batman, but they also spoke about bringing back Michael Keaton. So I don't really know.
That's a recent one that's coming up.
That's something I've heard recently. Yeah,
Flashpoint is about just different paradoxes and timelines and such. So it's we can get all sorts of different people. So there'll be probably different kinds of Batman and Superman and whatever else. So
yeah. Do you think they'll bring back Ezra Miller? Because he had some controversy in the news, didn't he?
Did he?
Did you hear about that? He slapped a fan at a meeting.
I heard about that.
What? So basically, Ezra.
This was a fair while ago.
It was it? It was this. Oh, then again, I don't really know when it was. It can't be
not
in
a fair while
recently.
ago, but it was
because basically Ezra Miller was meeting fans, and this one fan was trying to do something, and he basically just floored it to the ground. And
there's no way.
Honestly, I've seen the video. It's online. We could play the footage right now, but basically, because of that, DC were like, "Oh, we're going to take action on this," and the likelihood of him.
Is that? It looks like it's kind of a joke.
I mean, I don't know. Unless if it turned out as a joke.
Guys, but I've saw people sort of try to what's the word? Will Smith was at a press thing, and somebody tried to get real close to him.
That's because they tried to kiss him. Yeah.
Yeah, he slapped him.
And he did give him fair warning. He did say to him, just
that's
don't
fair enough. I mean, you don't know if this is a similar situation or
that's basically nothing then, but people just overreact.
Oh yeah, people are probably overreacted, but
I wanted to bitch that on and go send him to the ground, but no, disappointed.
Yeah,
I don't really know the full context, so I'm not really going to comment.
That's what I didn't really know.
You can tell he's fucking around.
Yeah,
she's there smiling.
Well, there you go then. Maybe he's all right then, because I don't really know what's going on with the Flash. I don't know if it's going to be Ezra's Flash, a new Flash. Is it going to set up a new universe? I've heard.
People can't have fun anymore, can they?
It's all fuck around.
What's your views on the new DC film with The Rock in Black Adam? He'll be in the next.
I couldn't give a crap.
No, what's your view on that sort of thing? Think he'll do him justice or?
What's your views on it?
I like The Rock. I think he's cool. I like him in comedy films with Kevin Hart though.
I feel like The Rock plays the exact same character in every film.
Yeah, he does.
I was going to say,
get away with it.
He's good in Moana.
Have you ever watched Jumanji, Journey 2 and some other
He's
shit?
Gonna be the president.
No.
Jumanji 1 is good. I actually quite like the first one.
Yeah, they're not bad films. It's just
they're all right. They pass the time.
Everyone.
No, but it's just it's like character casting, typecasting. Sorry, with The Rock. It's just you don't see him in it. You don't really see him in his roles. It's just him.
To get on the grand scheme of things of all the big A-listers out there. Where's The Rock on that list? Because I can't imagine him being that high. High enough, but not because he's not that good.
Well, he's a blockbuster maker. He sells money.
He's just a household name at this point now. So it's not necessarily about whether you're good. It's just more about how known you are now, I think. So
who would you compare him to? like as a big
Dave Bautista.
No, he's nowhere near.
No, he's nowhere near. That's a good question. Now Kevin Hart would compare him
I tell you what, The Rock is like your go-to.
I mean, for looks,
Hollywood
I was going
star.
off the looks of Dave Bautista because he's an actor.
I meant like how famous, like how.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I wouldn't really
Kevin
compare
Hart
him with anyone.
Kevin Hart, 100%.
Because someone will replace him one day. Someone will like take over The Rock, and
I'll take over. Yeah.
There you go. You heard it here first, everyone. Ben Kirby will be the new Rock.
Watch out for Ben Kirby, the boulder. Whoa.
2030. Oh, well, we already know The Rock. He's in our friends group. Alex Foster.
Michael, man. Jeez.
Fucking
sorry.
Sliced my ear.
I have just one last question for you boys. Just another one that's, turned friendships against each other.
We did that with the Christmas list. We already chatted.
Yeah, but I mean, you know what? This will seal.
Smoky bacon.
But this will completely seal.
Smoky bacon, mate. I don't know what your issue is.
I'm not talking about fucking crisps.
Fuck yourself.
Smoky bacon sucks, you idiot.
Everybody thought it shouldn't have been amazing.
Says Michael with the taste bud of a fucking 2-year-old.
Fuck off.
Yeah, back on track.
Surprise.
Back on track. Let me ask.
Crisps.
Music.
Let me ask.
I love watching it.
Oh, I'm not even doing it.
Oh no, go on.
Go on, guys. Go on. Come on.
Are you Marvel or are you DC? Just in general.
Monster.
This doesn't have to be films. But this can be just all kinds of media, whether it's TV, like just how you grew up in general, comics or anything. Like, what's your preference in general? Let's start with you, Michael.
So for me, I'd say it's got to be Marvel. As what are you?
Go on, Mike. Are you fucking playing that?
Carry on. For me, a big one with Marvel is they've always had characters that are very interesting on a personal level. Like obviously, one of their greatest characters, Spider-Man. I've grown up with him since I was a kid.
Have you? Has he been in your house?
He's living with the old family. Little Peter Parker
around the corner,
But yeah, I think Marvel are personally have the better characters. They're a lot more interesting. They have personal challenges, and for me, DC are characters that are godlike. They're very strong, undefeated, and I don't think they're as interesting in some ways. I do love Batman, I do love Superman, but for me, characters like Spider-Man and Marvel in general just have a much bigger impact. And the MCU is just so great and has such a great impact on the cinema. And as was said in a lot of from people recently, it's like a modern day Star Wars for people, And that's a big reason for why I would always be Team Marvel.
So you're about that relatability then with characters. That's what you like, that characterization where it feels a lot more grounded.
Because the sort of guy who gets bit by a spider and goes,
oh my God, I'm Spider-Man.
Spider-Man!
Well, no, because it's
that's a thumbnail.
That's the thumbnail, yeah. No, because Iron Man, Tony Stark starts off as a bit of an asshole in Iron Man 1. And then you make your way to...
That's true, you are a dickhead, to be fair, so you're already halfway there.
I'm not Iron Man, you idiot.
Oh, shit.
Where's my beard? Oh, you wanker. Who's talking about brain cells?
Couldn't put together something from IKEA?
Yeah, I could.
Jesus.
I put together a wardrobe, thank you very much.
That punch bag behind him, I'd beat him up. You punch it, smack him in the jaw.
Anyway, I'm finished talking, yeah.
All right, Ethan. All right, Ethan, are you a DC or are you a Marvel fanboy?
Bit of a silly question, isn't it? It's going to be Marvel, isn't it?
Why has it got to be Marvel then?
Why is this?
The thing with Marvel, they actually do it right. I mean, they put you on this journey as well, all these different characters. It flows in from one film to the next. And I feel like there's a lot of continuity. Mate, go look at DC, 1 minute you're over here, 1 minute here. It's just fucking stupid, bollocks. I mean, there's the odd standalone film that's all right. I quite enjoyed the Wonder Woman and Jason Momoa. It's just, everyone likes Jason Momoa, so he did that justice. Just
Oh, we
playing
all love
himself.
Jason Momoa.
Ethan, you could be Aquaman. You'd be Aquaman if you were a DC character. You got the blonde there. I could see you in the orange fishnet suit. You know.
Standing up.
Imagine talking to a whale. All right, you feel like my ex.
Brilliant.
Right,
I think. All right, fucking hell, steady on. I was just saying, I do think DC and Marvel both, when they do like the standalone stuff, that's outside of the MCU, like Logan, and then obviously you have the Dark Knight series. I quite like the darker stuff. I feel like they're both sort of on par. They sort of focus on this individual characters and tell their story really well. But I do think Marvel have it ahead when it comes to sort of these bigger universes and sort of trying to interlock the characters from one film to the next. I just feel like I enjoy it a bit more. I get excited and thrilled to go to midnight release and watch a Marvel film. DC, I'm like, yeah, it's probably gonna be all right. Probably like a 4 out of 10, which most of the time it fucking is.
Have you ever sort of consumed any other form of DC media that isn't films though, like TV or series or anything else?
Probably as a kid, like there was the odd little Batman and Robin thing, but nothing too serious. No, I was never that interested in it. Really.
Did you guys ever watch like the Batman Brave and the Bold or anything like that? That wasn't.
I watched the animated series. Yeah.
Oh, it was the Batman. That was the one I'm talking about. Did you guys ever watch that, the animated show?
No. I watched and read The Killing Joke.
Killing Joke's good.
I actually haven't seen that, to be fair.
Killing Joke's really good.
But yeah, I watched the Batman. That was a really good cartoon show on Cartoon Network. It was like a slightly different take on it all.
Yeah.
I
watched the ghetto voiceover version of Batman.
So Eve, you're more about the sort of like the cinematography and like the film style that the Marvel has over DC.
I love the journey that you go on, especially with the MCU. Yeah. But I really enjoy these standalone films like Logan.
So you're more about the narrative then?
Yeah, I'd say so. And I also like the journey the characters go on. Like for instance, Cap and Iron Man, you've been on it since what, 2008, 2011, whatever it was. And you've been with these characters for all these different films. And when they meet their end, it's proper shit. Like you actually think, you get something from it. But when a DC character gets took out, I think, cool. Didn't even know you were anyway.
In fairness, someone who's a DC fan, like the way you are a Marvel fan, could make the same point about Marvel.
Yeah, I've heard people like I like DC.
But it's still valid for Ethan. It's like personal.
I just said the reason I know these characters because I've known them since this journey they've been on. Whereas wow, Batman vs Superman, this is original, isn't it? You know what I mean?
Two superheroes fight each other. We love to see it.
Oh, I mean, it's not really fair, is it? Batman's some bloke in a metal suit with a little spiky thing that can kill a god, and then you got Superman and can literally just smash through him and just obliterate him. Like, you ever seen The Boys? Let's play that scene in The Boys. That fucking Summit Train, whatever his name is, smashes through that bird. Tough guy, man. He's probably on his first day.
Oh, that is such a obliterated.
Oh, you've seen The Boys? Oh,
yeah, I've seen The Boys.
That's great.
Have you seen it?
Yeah.
Right.
Next
episode.
So over to you, Ben. Marvel.
I know previously in past we spoke about DC and saying, I mean, if we're gonna have this conversation, I'm disappointed in you two boys. Someone's at least got to bring up the Dark Knight trilogy.
I did. I fucking did.
Come on, man.
I'm gonna play it right now.
I kind of switched off about
he clearly weren't listening, Ethan.
He's got Last of Us in his head. Look, there he is. He's thinking about Butch.
I just got anything else.
I heard Ethan mention the Dark Knight.
Yeah, well, it's good bollocks, mate, and that's it. I'm
Bloody hell, Ben.
But I mean,
well, this is working out great.
I think in terms of iconic movies,
let's just mute what Ben's talking about because it's
they're probably leading. They're probably ahead DC in iconic movies.
With Christopher Nolan's Dark Knight series.
And the Joker as well. That's just come out of Joker. So
yeah, okay.
I mean, I don't think you can argue that. But if I had to go off, I wouldn't even go as far as to say, oh, look at the universes the way that they are and the contingency that they've got with each other and the consistency of quality of films that they've got. I wouldn't even go as far as to say that. I wouldn't bring Kevin Feige into it. And the fact that just DC have been money grabbing, they failed with the Justice League. Batman v Superman was trash. And that was such a huge opportunity for them to make a really, really good film. And they fucked it. Wouldn't even go as far as that. For me, it really does lie with Sam Raimi's trilogy. Even the third one, I enjoyed simply based on nostalgia. With those 3 Spider-Man movies, I grew up with them.
It's entertaining though, even if they're not the best
They're
film.
still good. Like the first
They've still got that cult following, yeah.
And the second one is still a top film.
Yeah,
like just behind The Dark Knight. I'd say that Spider-Man 2 is probably the next one.
It's gritty as well. I think it's a little darker.
Brilliant. It's fantastic.
Not as dark as
Tobey
Batman.
Maguire for me will always be probably my favourite Spider-Man.
I love Spider-Man 1 and 2. I think because I grew up with
every
that
time
film
I feel no other way about a film other than like.
Do you like Amazing Spider-Man? Andrew Garfield.
I actually think the first one's quite good. The second one is terrible.
I don't think the second one's terrible, but I just think it focuses just too much on different side plots and too many characters. I think it's just it's that scenario of too many cooks spoil the broth, because you've got Spider-Man.
I still strangely get a nostalgia feel with those 2 films though, because they're still quite a while ago.
Exactly. Yeah,
I feel like I get that game, the Spider-Man game. I get the feel of the Amazing Spider-Man a bit more for that, like the relatability. It's just because the villains.
Good games, yeah,
I guess.
The Amazing Spider-Man game.
But Ben, what would you?
Marvel, definitely, just because of that. I guess
Marvel,
it's more on just that personal connection and nostalgia that I've got with the Sam Raimi series. And I'd still, and then if someone had to say, oh, you can't have that because it's not MCU, then I'd still say Marvel because of the MCU.
But that was my question. That was my question. We need to I guess think outside the MCU and think outside the DCEU. Think just those 2 franchises, those 2 brands as themselves.
Okay, then there you go. So Sam Raimi stands just as relevant as anything else. Yeah, definitely Marvel.
So for Marvel then. Well,
Nathan?
So it's a 4-way go then, because it's on Marvel as well. But I do appreciate what DC do, and even if these films don't work, even if the films don't work up to, even work up to what they could be, what the potential could be, they still have really good medias. Like I said, with the animated films, you got 2019's Joker with Joaquin Phoenix.
Yeah.
Aquaman wasn't too bad. What else? You got obviously Christopher Nolan's Dark Knight trilogy, as well as the old Batman. So I do like those, even if they are, following that camp superhero style that we did have.
I really like Michael Keaton's Batman.
Yeah, it's cheesy, but at the same time, that was a gothic.
And Adam West as well.
So, Adam West, with the infamous shark repellent spray. But
what's the guy called who directed Joker? I forgot. What's his name?
I can't remember.
Anyway, carry on. I'll come to me.
But but with Marvel, it's like, again, I grew up with Marvel, as you boys have said, and Spider-Man has always been like that number 1 hero that I've had. I've always watched Spider-Man shows. I've always had figures and dressed up like Spider-Man and such. Like, he was just an icon for me, because I did feel a little bit of that relatability, and the idea that he's wearing a mask, so you could always pretend that it's like you under the
could
mask
be
if you wanted
Spider-Man.
to. Yeah, exactly. You could be Spider-Man, and but then of course, like I felt more of the relatability when we had Miles Morales introduced in 2012 in the Ultimate series, who's a Black Latina character, and I just thought, that's like really good. That how, of course, there's different people that can be this one name, this one moniker.
Yeah.
But I do like the stories of both sides. But I would say I'm more Marvel, because again, I did grow up with Sam Raimi's Spider-Man. I did grow up with all the TV series and such, and that is one I do hold close to me. I've got a load of memorabilia around my room, to be fair. I've got, as well as Star Wars, I've got like every single Lego Avenger. I've got tons of DC characters and stuff. Yeah, nerd, exactly. But who gives a shit?
Sorry,
hey man, he loves
it. Of course,
hey, exactly, man. My final score is otherwise.
I was going to say,
Nathan's gloves awesome.
30 pop toys. Remember pop toys? Do you remember those?
I was going to say something though.
They're still going.
What's up, Beef?
No, I remember collecting them.
With Todd Phillips, obviously Joker, and then you've got Logan. I forgot who directed Logan, and then obviously Dark Knight.
James Mangold.
Yeah, the thing they all have in common is they're quite gritty with it, aren't they? Quite gritty with it. So I feel like that does them justice, because they're allowed to go down to a different avenue.
Well, I think the good thing about superhero films anyway, whether they are in the same universe or not, they all take after each other, and they all do inspire each other. Even if it doesn't work, even if it's not good, or even if it's fantastic and it's one of the best films you've ever seen, they all take after each other, and I think that's really good. It shouldn't really be a battle of who is like better. Like, oh, like DC's better. Nah, Marvel's better. Like, it doesn't need to be, you know, like this blood boiled, like hard fight between each other, because they do take after each other. And I do like that, how no matter what side you're on, you know, it's still cool either way. And yeah, on that bombshell, thank you very much for listening for today's episode of Babblin. Be sure to check out any of our highlights. Be sure to check out our Chris ranking video that got a cheeky shout out earlier. Our friendship is still fractured. Fuck Smokey Bacon. But yeah, thanks for watching, everybody, and we'll see you next time.